Now that the Super Bowl is over and the NFL offseason has officially started, it's time to get to it and start on the right foot, where we will be examining the generational talent, the consensus number one quarterback in the NFL draft, one Mr. Caleb Williams. Welcome to Draft Capital Sports. So there's a lot of debate on how good Caleb Williams actually is, if he's the best quarterback in the draft. Most people think he is. He's been dubbed generational by many media pundits. He's a Heisman Trophy winner in 2022. He led USC to what can be described as a high-powered offense, and he's drawn comparisons to Patrick Mahomes. So we're going to get into some numbers through this series. There's going to be a series of videos and comparisons. But before we get started, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to make sure you stay locked in to Draft Capital Sports, where we provide all the NFL draft news, NFL offseason news, trades, etc. for your 2024 NFL offseason. Now let's get back to the video. Now, I'm from Chicago, as if you listen to this channel, you already know. And there's a sportscaster for the Chicago White Sox named Hawk Harrelson. And he used to have a saying that says, "Don't tell me what you did, but tell me when you did it." And sometimes he would say, "and who you did it against." And this is the metric I'm going to use to judge this is the metric I do use to judge all draft picks and prospects. Now, I'm still contemplating whether I'm going to do film breakdowns on YouTube or Patreon, or, because film breakdowns are great, but a lot of times what I find is people cherry pick the plays that they want to cherry pick to fit their narrative. And in this age of our king, LeBron James, shout out to him, this is the stat era in sports in general. Analytics and stats is what rules everything. So we're going to be going through some of the stats of Caleb Williams to see, is he as good as everyone says he is? Is he generational? I will do several comparison videos to Patrick Mahomes, to Justin Fields, etc., to Drake May, to Jaden Daniels, to even Bo Nix maybe. So let's get into Caleb first. Let's look at his body of work. I'm going to pick some games where I think it describes him best, and it also leads to the debate whether is he overhyped or is he really a generational type quarterback. Now I'm going to use 4 games, so we can get a better picture of who Caleb Williams is and how he performed in his Heisman Trophy winning season in 2022. Now I want to start with the Fresno State game. This to me was his best game of the season, even though it wasn't his best statistically. It was the best game because Fresno State ranked 14th out of 131 teams in pass defense. Now in this game, Williams had 284 yards and 2 touchdowns. His quarterback rating was 149. That's not to be confused with QBR. It's a different stat. They don't really even use that in college. But this was his best performance because he faced a pass defense that was very good. Now, he had a better weapon in Jordan Addison on the team that he didn't have in 2023. I'm going to be fair in this assessment to go along with Brendan Rice and the other weapons on the offense. So that did probably contribute to the drop-off he had in 2023 that I'll be discussing a little bit later. But he did play Notre Dame in 2022 as well. Now that's a big game of conversation or matchup of conversation that he had in 2023 because he had a bad game. But in 2022 against Notre Dame, he had a pretty decent game, 232 yards, 1 touchdown. Now Notre Dame was ranked 39th in pass defense in 2022. That rank is going to jump up significantly in 2023. But he did pull out the win. He did have a decent game. Now, his best game statistically, in my opinion, was against Arizona, where he had 411 yards and 5 touchdowns. Now, Arizona's pass defense was ranked 126th out of 131 qualifying teams. And this is going to be a theme in breaking down not only Caleb Williams, but a lot of the quarterbacks and a lot of the prospects that tend to get probably a little more hype than they should. Level of competition is something that matters, and is a stat that is very overlooked, or a metric that is very overlooked a lot of times in media narratives when talking about any player, college or pros. Now, his worst game, in my opinion, was against Oregon State in 2022, where he had 180 yards and only one touchdown with a 95.6 QB rating, and Oregon State pass defense ranked 16th out of 131. Now, overall, in his Heisman Trophy winning season, Williams had 4,537 yards, 42 touchdowns, 5 picks for an overall QB rating of 168. He also had 382 yards on the ground for 10 touchdowns. So he had a phenomenal season in 14 games in 2022. Now, when we get to 2023, as if you're a college football fan, you know, he had a drop off. They even went through a losing streak at the end of the season, and he gets a lot of criticism for that. Now, his best game in 2023 this past season was against Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes, in my opinion. Speaking of hype versus substance, where he had 400 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 pick. Now, Colorado's pass defense ranked 127th out of 133 qualifying teams. He also had a great game against Nevada, where he threw for 319 yards, 5 TDs. Nevada's defense ranked 115th out of 133 qualifying teams. Now, his best game of the past season, in my opinion, was against San Jose State, where he threw for 278 yards and 4 touchdowns, no picks, because San Jose State was ranked 16th in pass defense out of 133 teams. So he can step up, and there's something about the California schools with state in the name of the university, Fresno State, San Jose State. But for the most part, Williams does struggle against teams that rank high in pass defense. And there's a big drop-off. It's not just like there's a little drop-off. Now, I'm going to go into the Notre Dame game, where he threw for 199 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions in 2023. Now, Notre Dame's pass defense ranked 3rd. And this past season, USC didn't have the weapons that it had in 2022. However, that does not scream generational in college. I'm sorry. Deshaun Watson versus Alabama comes to mind. Hell, Justin Fields against Michigan comes to mind. So, though it doesn't guarantee success in the NFL, I'm not saying it does matter when a player performs better against higher level competition, because that is the job that you are going to have to do. That is something that you're going to have to do at the next level continuously. You know, you're taking a step up in competition. Now, I think a major factor that is being missed is what kind of situation the player is stepping into. Now, the legendary QB, now legendary, that is currently playing in the current Super Bowl champion, Patrick Mahomes, was not the greatest quarterback in college. As a matter of fact, his sophomore season, 2015, compared to Caleb's sophomore season, Mahomes threw for a lot of yards. He had 4,600 yards, 36 touchdowns, but he threw 15 interceptions and had a 147 rating quarterback, 445 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns. Very similar numbers to Caleb, except for those turnovers, and not as much production on the touchdown side, on the scoring side. And he didn't face the greatest competition either at Texas Tech. Better competition a little bit than USC on average, but not the greatest. Getting drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid, though, was probably, well, I think undoubtedly now, the best situation he could be drafted in. So now the question is, are the Chicago Bears the best situation for Caleb Williams to be drafted to? Let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think of the information I presented? Do you still think Caleb Williams is a generational quarterback? Do you think none of these stats matter? You just love the highlights, and the highlights prove he's going to be awesome? What team do you think is going to be the best situation for him to be drafted to? Thank you for watching Draft Capital Sports. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I thank everybody who has watched and subscribed so far, who likes the videos, who comments, engages, and interacts. Even if you call me an idiot, it is okay. Thank you for watching. Peace.